Hi everybody, welcome to this virtual launch event for What Our Guts Tell Us, which is the first poetry pamphlet created by Bowel Research UK and contributed to by lots of lovely people sharing their experiences and their friends and families' experiences of bowel cancer and bowel disease. So I should introduce myself first. My name is Sam. A lot of you will know me. I'm the Patient and Public Involvement Manager at Bowel Research UK. Delighted to have put all of this together and delighted to see you all today. And we also have our CEO in our midst as well. Lynn Dunne is here, CEO of Bowel Research UK, and she's going to be reading her poem that appeared in the book as well. So yeah, just huge thanks for sort of coming to celebrate with us with the book and the launch, and I really just wanted to give a nod to the creativity of everybody involved, everybody who submitted their poems and their artwork, and just kind of the openness and bravery of everybody, because it's not easy to sort of put your experiences out there. It's not always easy to create something beautiful out of something that's been potentially very sort of difficult and traumatic, and then even harder to share that with the wider world as well. So yeah, very much appreciate everybody putting themselves out there, and we're here to celebrate that today. The first person that we have reading, and feel free to follow along in your books if you like. I should say it's not in the order of the book, it's in the order of sort of people's preferences to read. I will read out everybody's bios as a way of introducing everybody, and the first person that we have to do their reading today is Addy Willis. And there she is. So Addy Willis was 41 when she was diagnosed with stage 3 bowel cancer in 2019. She's actively engaged with Bowel Research UK and was part of the 2022 All Guts campaign, and regularly joins patient research groups. After radiotherapy, chemotherapy, surgery, and further chemo, she is currently in remission. And if you'd like to follow along, I should tell you that her poem is on page 34. And over to you, Addy.
Thank you. I should probably give some background for this one, Sam. I saw the email really late and I think I had something like 4 hours to maybe submit something. So this was one of those blast moments of when you think about something really quickly, do it and then send it off. So I wrote a limerick, and it's called Untitled Limerick. There once was a girl who went to the loo. She very often needed a poo. She once saw some blood, though it looked like mud. She got it checked and it saved her life. Woohoo! Thank you.
Thank you, Addy. It's always a joy to hear people reading the poems, because you get a different experience as to you just sort of like reading it silently on the page. You get to hear how people articulate stuff. It's lovely. Thank you very much. The second reader we have is Sally Gilson. Just scanning. Yep, there we have Sally. So Sally Gilson, along with her brother and dad, lost her mother, Una Gilson, to bowel cancer in 2022. They'd learnt of her terminal illness diagnosis just before Christmas was cancelled during the second lockdown. Her mum and dad were together for over 55 years, and Una has left an irreplaceable hole in their lives. Over to you, Sally.
Thank you. Much like Addy, I also saw this late. And I reckon, Addy, the best poems are written just off the cuff. Oh dear, right, I've got to get through this now. Reunited we were, sister, brother, mum and dad. Bittersweet time, reminiscing and laughing, living together again when we knew it was the end. A reversal in care, so fragile you were. A makeover unnoticed by dad, taming your wild wispy hair, somehow rewarded with the most playful of smiles. Time spent in silence just because it was time. or reading aloud Harry Potter, accents and all, Brothers Hagrid winning the most laughs. We never did make it to the end. Playing cards in your room in the final days, whilst listening intently to your changing breath, being together, holding hands, with the realization that you had taken your last. No longer here, we clear away. Oh, the 20 different stripy tops, a whole new wardrobe I have got. With every item, I smell the scent of mum, knowing one day too that will fade and we'll just be left with the memories we made.
Thank you, Sally. It's a lovely tribute.
I'm going to mute now.
Okay, so next we have Deborah Taylor. I realised, sorry, I forgot to say what page Sally's on, which was 31. So I'll say now that Deborah is on page 28. I can't see for looking. 28. So Deborah Taylor is a retired primary school teacher who has written both poetry and prose, some of which has been published online and in an anthology. Deborah was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer in the sigmoid colon in December 2018. After undergoing surgery, a temporary stoma and chemotherapy, she is currently 4 years clear of cancer. Deborah has openly shared her experience of bowel cancer in the media in order to raise awareness of the disease.
Thank you. Yeah, this poem was actually written quite quickly too. Surprise, surprise. I work better with deadlines, to be honest. And so I knew, yes, I've got to get it done. And then suddenly realized I was sitting in the garden one day, oh God, I've got to get that in quick. And so that actually didn't take me as long to write it as it did to think of the title. But I chose the title because an odyssey is a journey, and that's how I regard how I faced cancer. I never talk about it as a battle. It's always a journey. And of course, I'm still on that journey because I'm not 5 years clear yet, but we keep everything crossed. But I'm very well. So that's always a good sign. As a breeze cools my skin, heated by June sun's glare, my thoughts spin back years where here I also sat, a chemo-ravaged shell of whom I am now, shaded, prone, asleep. To 7 months before, on a colder day, chilled by words that hung suspended as kind eyes looked, and time stood still, midst thoughts of sickness, pain, and death. Later, quiet words soothed me as pain seared throughout, wounds pulsated as a bag sat over a stoma, pink, a body part once in, now out, and into sleep I slipped, relieved, grateful, alive. Stella the stoma, as she became, was sometimes good, often bad, leaking, ballooning, and sore. A new normal, a new diet, a new way of living, with much bag changing, learning, adapting, accepting. Chemicals coursed through my veins, a poison that killed bad and good, dried my skin, thinned my hair, draining my energy cells to a chemo-ravaged shell of whom I once was. Nausea, fatigue, and anxiety. I bid farewell to Stella on a sunny summer's day, her job complete, reversal done, a slow return to a normal diet, an old way of living, with fibre, nuts, and seeds galore, relieved, grateful, alive. As a breeze cools my skin, heated by June sun's glare, my thoughts turn to now, the beauty of birdsong, the fragrant scent of roses, the sun bright in blue sky. Alive, alive, alive.
Lovely. Thank you, Deborah.
Good, huh? Really good.
And I think that finding a title for a poem is sometimes the hardest part of it. But yeah, I think that one encapsulates your journey, as you say, beautifully. Thank you. Okay, so next we have Eva Sprecher. So Dr. Eva A Sprecher is a postdoctoral researcher in psychology at UCL and the Anna Freud. Her research focuses on the mental health and relationships of care-experienced young people. Eva was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in 2021 after having symptoms since she was a teenager. Over to you, Eva.
Hi. So mine was actually written quite a long time in advance of when I saw the call out, and then when I saw the call out I thought, oh, this is the home for this piece. And I'm sorry because it's a piece of prose and it's a bit long, so yeah, sorry about that. But hopefully you enjoy it. It's called Guts. So can a story of the gut be beautiful? Sure, a story of guts, that is bravery, balls, stones, courage to the point of stupidity. All these guts in plural can have a certain poignant, heroic, and potentially machismo beauty. There's a certain flint-edged aesthetic to those who clench their teeth and plow gustily into certain death. They even have medals for that stuff. Or how about gut as a verb? The slathering, crimson, rural beauty of a slaughtered animal, its innards removed by a skillful matriarch with large, firm hands in some Dutch Baroque painting. You just try and tell Jan Phoenix that there's no beauty in that. What about being gutted in the metaphorical sense, to be beautifully and completely hollowed out by one's disappointment or grief, left no more than a clean, conch shell of a soul in which you can hear the timeless echo of the sea? But then again, maybe the true beauty in the experience of being gutted lies in the absolute absence of any gut at all. Guts outside the body have their place too. Just think of the cat gut string used to string a violin and resonate at an almost catastrophic tension to produce in the hands of the skilled player notes of deep texture and harmony. If only I could string my own gut on a Stradivarius and hand that taut wooden me instrument to that girl I went to school with, the one who played in all the assemblies. If she perhaps could bow across my colon or small intestine and let it sing a haunting tune. It most certainly has a tune to sing. It hums and gurgles its ballads all night in tones I hope only audible to me. But can the story of my gut, sat within my body, dysfunctional and in situ, singular and very much a noun of a gut, can that be beautiful? Would anyone read of its plight or triumph and, half closing a book, look misty-eyed out of a window, whispering, oh? I used to hold a hardline position on this question that nobody seemed to be asking, except me, in a very quiet voice to myself at 5 a.m, sat on the edge of the bath. The answer I came up with for the better part of 28 years was no. Nobody wants to hear about it. Nobody wants to hear about the nausea at 3 a.m, the bloating, the constipation, and certainly no one wants to hear about the diarrhea. Or maybe they do occasionally want to hear about it if the stories are packaged in a light-hearted, humorous, bite-sized pieces. And expecting others to see beauty, meaning, and powerful narrative in this guttural swamp, you can forget about it. But recently, I wonder if my dogmatic position of not mixing beauty in the gut is starting to shift, like cooking chicken with peaches. Maybe there's something in it.
Lovely, thank you, Eva. I really resonate with the thought of guts singing tunes. Or I think that we should get all of our guts in a room and start a choir or something. Okay, I went a bit wonky on my schedule. I went a bit rogue, so apologies. But next we have Daphne Larner.
Hello.
There she is. Hi. I will read your bio, Daphne, and then I know you have 2 poems in here, so you're more than welcome to read both or just one. It's completely up to you what you'd like to do. So Daphne M. Larner has had a long history of bowel disease and creative writing. Early in her career as a healthcare professional, she wrote for a hospital magazine, and later, when her daughter was diagnosed with heart failure, she wrote about the issues involved. This journalistic foray later extended into writing about youth culture, published in The Observer. Latterly, she has had some success with fiction and broadened her reach with poetry, which has become both an addiction and a therapy. When you're ready, Daphne.
Thank you. I'm on pages 24 to 27, and that sounds like a short story, actually, but it's only 2 poems. So bear with me. I will start with the second one. You, the patient. You, the patient, feel a momentum of moods and movement in the thin slices of silence. Light turns to dark, punctuated by small cries and urgent whispers. From your bed, you see a landscape of drips, infusions, you think, looking like mayonnaise. Bags of Rosie's lime juice hooked up to the bottoms of beds. Sounds like a recording studio as monitors beep, beep, beep. You want to silently beg for a pillow over your head. Too bad. You are all in it together, sick as pigs to be saved from a barbecue. Your bodily fluids are served up in papier-mâché bowls, like upturned cowboy hats. Every output checked and measured. Constrictions of cannulas and surgical stockings, sticky patches and wires connecting you to screens, revealing your vascular condition. Nurses scribe your symptoms on boards, charts, iPads, sharing notes with an orchestra of the medical fraternity. You hear emotion, laughter, sympathy. Keys of normality played with proficiency. You feel textures, stiff white cotton, soft blankets, metal, steel, paper, synthetic. Colours flash by in your limited horizon. Hues of blue, black, the sudden pink or brown of flesh, reflected in the tantalizing glass, shielding the blue sky freedom outside. The ceiling squares stare down at you. The octometer pincers read you. Your identity tags remind you who you are, while you breathe for your loss of blood. A closure on the gyratory system of your bowel. They tell you, you've had to make a diversion. It's not on your sat-nav. You are the subject of brutal interventions, therefore sealed, white, and bagged. One final survey before you go home. The registrar shows off your lovely stoma to the stethoscope crowd at the end of your bed. Would it win the Turner Prize? You said. And the second one is an ode to a stoma. My stoma puckers up. It retracts like the sea on the cusp of a tsunami. Pink and glazed, it pouts and spews forth brown. I grapple with wipes to clean it down. And finally, I am poised to slap. A plastic pouch of fresh flesh back. And now I hear outside the door impatient feet that tap the floor. My colon revving up again. I'm stuck. Another change of a bag of muck. I could not find the disabled sign that gives me a think as well as time. But those I exit from within, all eyes decide I've committed sin. Because my body looks just normal, their tatting says, unfair to use that disabled portal. No way the imagined easier life since my troubled bowels met with a knife. It's still a challenge in a different way. The pain, it will improve, they say. Speaking of which, I like to dream of a heaven to hope for, super clean. There'll be no pain, no nasty odours, but fragrance sweet, wafting over. No keeping distance when we meet, a camaraderie complete. living life with no suggestion of my complex process of digestion. Instead, wax lyrical from our sensitized minds on the elixir of bowels divine.
Beautifully read. Thank you, Daphne. Okay, so next on page, bear with, 22, we have Eabhan. So Eabhan Ni Shuileabhain, an Irish poet, was diagnosed with colon cancer in July 2022 and had an open operation, a right hemicolectomy to remove it. She then had 8 cycles of chemotherapy as a preventative measure, which ended in March 2023. She's been living in North Wales for 2 decades with her husband and son. Her work has appeared in a range of literary journals in Ireland, the UK, America, and Australia. Over to you, Eabhan, and I hope I did okay on the name. Thank you for the pronunciation guide. That was extremely helpful.
Yes, thank you. You did very well, Sam. That was the best pronunciation of my first name in a long time, with just the spelling. So I've got 2 in, but I'm only going to read one because I wouldn't be able to read one of them without. And this one might help actually, because the title is a Welsh place name, which is Tanagrisha. So this is Tanagrisha Walk. We found an old quarry tramway to follow, found quietness and calm there. Walked past strange round tower vents, with steam rising slow, old archways standing proud in ruined walls, a startled snipe, a missile thrush, the caterpillar of a ruby moth, and an old miner happy to share tales with us. Both my little toes hurt, red and battered, because of the Cape chemo tablets, my skin sore and my mind constantly worrying at the edges of all that could go wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Eabhan. And then just next door, just across the page and in the same room, we have Gwyn Parry. So Gwyn Parry is a Welsh painter and writer living in Dyffryn Nantal, North Wales. He has 3 collections of poetry published at the Hurricane Poetry Wales Press, Mynd Paris, Seren and Crossings, Salmon Publishing Ireland. His first novel in Welsh was published in 2021. His work has appeared in many poetry journals in Britain and Ireland. Gwyn's wife was diagnosed with stage 3 to 4 bowel cancer in the summer of 2022. The news came as a huge shock, his wife being relatively young, fit and healthy. She was operated on and had a large section of the bowel removed, as well as lymph glands. She recovered well from the surgery, then did 6 months chemotherapy. She's doing very well and living life as normal and back teaching full time. Over to you, Gwyn.
Okay, thank you very much. Funnily enough, I think I'm the only man in this book, am I? I think,
Yes.
from what I can see. Yeah, it's very, very strange that. Anyway, so yeah, I had this weird idea that I wanted my wife to float in the sea, that it might make her a bit better. I don't know why, but I wanted her to do it. She wasn't that keen, I don't think. But luckily it was a very hot summer a year and a half ago. And so that was good. So she agreed, and we went down to the local beach. So this is called Swimming with Cancer. It was close to 30 degrees, but the sea still had a kick of cold as we entered. I wanted my wife to float on her back. She closed her eyes and let the waves hold her, arms and legs starfish, hair lengthening into bladderwrack and kelp. I stood close by, up to my chest, and watched her rotate like a compass. I was hoping for healing, for the cancer to leach out of her and be cleansed by the power of salt and sun. As the sea held her under the bluest of skies, I realized how little control we have of life and love. Okay, thank you. Diolch yn fawr.
Lovely, thank you, Gwyn. Next, we have Alicia Cropley. Alicia Cropley was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in 2003 and has been on many different medications over the years. She's been hospitalised twice for an operation and a major flare-up. She recently retired as a senior curator in a national museum. She's participated in workshops and research projects for Bowel Research UK and is very grateful to the NHS for her care. Over to you, Alicia.
Thank you very much. Can I just do a sound check? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly. And
Brilliant.
I should
I've got
say...
new headphones. That's very difficult to follow those two. I mean, I'm not a poet at all. I've written about art and architecture, and that's it. I haven't written a poem for about 50 years, I suppose, but I couldn't resist the invitation to just have a little go. So mine is really simple after those two absolutely beautiful bits of writing. So here we go. It's all about, I just have to say, by way of introduction, it's the title is My Downstairs Office, which is what my husband and I call the downstairs loo, where I spent hours and hours, like many of you. So it's always been called My Downstairs Office. And so the title is very easy. And on the wall is a poster, which you will understand in a minute when I read it, of Raoul Dufy's Baie des Anges, which is, I've never been there in real life, but it's in Nice on the south coast of France, and it's an absolutely stunning poster, so you can look it up. But it's all about being transported away from what many of us go through. My downstairs office. I sit in the familiar little room, safe, calm, away from others, the door firmly shut. Time stands still. No hurry to leave. I'd be back in again anyway before too long, many times. I am transported by a poster to a beach far away. Palm trees, sunshine, blue sea, people walking on a promenade in the south of France, overlooking the beach. Beautiful light, reflections, and bright jewel-like colours. Not sitting in a small room in London for a long time. I go out of the room. Everything okay? Fine. Like the weather in the south of France, except it's not fine. I need to return. I sit. The people are still out on the promenade enjoying themselves. I will go out later, but not yet. Not now. I wonder how many others are in their own little rooms and taking in the surroundings of four walls which they look at for so long each day, or look at their phone to take themselves away from it all, to think of other things outside, but still sit. At least here and now it's uncomplicated. No rush to leave, no children to get to school or job to go out to these days, so no hurry. I sit. After the difficult nights, at least there's no pain in the morning, though maybe there is for some. Just uncertainty, unpredictability, anxiety, frustration. When can I leave? I sit. After a while, I think I really can go out, around the house at least, and maybe to the high street, then further away when safe. Finally free, outside, while others, I'm sure, still sit.
Thank you, Alicia. I'll think of that poem the next time I'm in the bathroom. Okay, so next on page 35, we have Lynn Dunne. So Lynn Dunne is Chief Executive of Bowel Research UK. She's a senior nurse by profession with an additional MA in law and medical ethics. In September 2020, Lynn found herself on the bowel cancer pathway as a result of the national screening programme. Major surgery, a temporary ileostomy and chemotherapy followed, and thankfully, a year later, she received the all clear. In December 2021, Lynn returned to work as the CEO at Bowel Research UK. For the first 18 months, she donated her salary to BR UK's research programme as a thank you and in recognition of her amazing colleagues in the NHS who treated during the global pandemic and saved her life. Over to you, Lynn.
Thank you, Sam. So like many of you, I was a bit of a last minuter, and I felt, Sam had asked me if I would write something, and I just and I was reading all these wonderful contributions that Sam was getting and thinking, I can't do anything like that. But I didn't want to let Sam down, and I'm really glad I did it. And the one thing that fascinates me is the gut microbiome. And when I was, in fact, before I was diagnosed, I'd started to get interested in it. And when I was diagnosed, I got very interested in it, and things like biofilms in your gut and overgrowths of nasty bacteria and not enough good bacteria and all that sort of thing. So when I was reflecting on my stage 3 bowel cancer journey, that was where I sort of found myself. So I wrote this little offering called Gut Feelings. It's official. There's a link between the bugs in my bowel and what makes me think. The Greeks thought we had butterflies in our gut, when all along it was the bugs in your butt. And all those flutters and tummy pinkings are really your vagus getting you thinking. And did you know that worries and fears are created by suboptimal gut biospheres? And maybe that's why we sometimes say, I'm feeling a little bit shitty today. So now I know why, when experiencing depression, it's all likely due to a large colon commotion. And when something's awry in my body or soul, I may need probiotics in my cereal bowl. Those feelings of anxiety, embarrassment, or inflammation could be the result of gut biome stagnation. So take care of your gut bugs, give them a treat. It turns out they are much more than something you eat.
Thanks, Lynn.
Pleasure.
I must say it's really lovely as well to have such a mix of different pieces that everybody has submitted. We have, you know, the touching, the funny. It's yeah, it's great. So next up we have Sharon Tiday. So Sharon wrote the poem Memories based on her own mum's diagnosis with bowel cancer and the impact it had on the family. Awareness is so important to Sharon as she has had to navigate a medical system for her own children. Sharon enjoys writing in her spare time, as well as also taking walks in nature. Over to you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sam. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
That's brilliant. When I heard the call for these poems, the reason for me was I really felt it was great to put emotion and feelings at a time when we got a diagnosis from my mum for bowel cancer. It was a very difficult time because it was also coming up to Christmas. So we went through the Christmas not actually knowing what the outcome would be after she had the operation. I'm really pleased to say she's done amazing and has made a great recovery. The poem that I'm about to read is called Memories, and it's very special to me because of all these emotions I was able to put down on paper. I will never forget that day. Time stood still in every way. It was spoken to me so clear, the words I dreaded to hear. Mum's got bowel cancer. The words echoed through my ears as I tried to hold back salty tears. I didn't know exactly what to say, but I would have screamed my heart out if it took the pain away. My mind couldn't erase when I looked at my mum's ashen face. I seen a weakness I'd never seen before, that I just couldn't ignore. Thinking back to those days when her arms felt so strong and safe, when she picked me up from the floor. How she was my hero when she took on the local bullies, chasing them down the street, slippers struggling to stay on her feet. That was my mum, and with her by my side, there was nothing I couldn't survive. Here before me, it felt like roles reversed. My mum needed me like never before, and cancer was the bully we had to endure. We knew it would be a battle to come, but as long as we had each other, we had already won. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, so the last person on my list is me. So my poem is on page, what's this on a postcard? 32. And as I said at the beginning, I'm the Patient and Public Involvement Manager at Bowel Research UK. I've had bowel cancer, duodenal cancer, and womb cancer as a result of my rare genetic condition, constitutional mismatch repair deficiency, or CMMID. I'm undertaking my PhD in creative writing, and my work has appeared in over 70 publications. And this poem is something that I wrote for my PhD. I had lots to choose from, but this was one of the few that sort of stands alone without too much of an explanation. It's called NED stands for. So NED stands for no evidence of disease, normal, every day, no evil diagnosis, not even dead, 9 extra decades, nice empty diary, no emails from doctors, not expecting doom, now expecting doom, nervously expecting doom, not eager to discuss the never-ending despair that comes with the next endoscopy date and perhaps the next excruciating diagnosis. Thank you. So we've gone through everybody who is on our list to read, and just looking at the names here, I think nearly everybody has read. But I would like to give a shout out specifically to the artwork, and I can see Sarah Lloyd is here. And I thought we had Emma Hawkey as well, but maybe I can't see her in my view anymore, so she might not still be here. But yes, so the artwork on the front of the book was done by Emma Hawkey, and it's a lino cut. And if she was here, I would ask her to sort of say a few words if she'd like to. I don't think she is. And then on the back, we have the artwork by Sarah Lloyd, and Sarah's there smiling away. I don't know if there's anything you'd like to say, totally up to you if you wanted to come off mute and say anything, or...
Yes, I just think it's just bowel disease is so frightening, and you just never know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen and what your bowel's going to do. So I like felting. I'm not much good at art, but I thought I'd just have a go. That it's just like riding a dragon. You just never know what's going to happen next. So yeah, I was very pleased to have my artwork. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sarah. And thank you so much to everybody for coming, and everybody for reading and talking about your work. And yeah, I'll be in touch with everybody.